The sound of Harper Mitchell's skull hitting the cold linoleum floor echoed through Jefferson High's main hallway. 200 phones lifted in unison, their cameras hungry for humiliation. Tyler Morrison's hand twisted deeper into her hair, yanking her head back until tears streamed down her cheeks. "Bark louder! Puppy!" Tyler's voice boomed over the crowd's laughter. "I said bark!" Harper's lips trembled. Her knees burned against the floor. The smell of cafeteria food mixed with expensive cologne made her stomach turn. She opened her mouth, and the most degrading sound of her 16 years escaped. Woof! If you're feeling that rush of what's going to happen next, hit that like button. It really helps more people discover these stories. And if you want to share where you're watching from, drop it in the comments below. For those who want to support more stories like this one, there's a thanks button right under this video. Every contribution, no matter how small, helps me bring you more inspiring tales of courage and standing up for what's right. Thank you for being here. Now, let's see what happens when push comes to shove. 3 weeks earlier, Harper Mitchell stepped through Jefferson High's main entrance with her shoulders hunched, trying to become invisible. Her worn sneakers squeaked against the polished floor. The August Texas heat had already soaked through her second-hand backpack. She counted her steps. 1, 2, 3. Don't look up. Don't make eye contact. Just find your locker and disappear. The hallway stretched before her like a gauntlet. Designer bags, Letterman jackets, perfect teeth behind perfect smiles. Harper had done this dance before. 3 schools in 4 years. Each time Mom promised it would be different. Each time it wasn't. She found locker number 347 and fumbled with the combination. Her hands shook slightly. They always did on first days. Behind her, conversations flowed like water around a rock. Nobody noticed the new girl. Good. The cafeteria at lunch was a minefield. Harper grabbed a tray and selected the safest option pizza that looked like cardboard and apple juice in a tiny carton. She scanned for empty tables. Back corner. Perfect. She made her way there, eyes down, counting tiles. Halfway through her silent meal, a shadow fell across her tray. Well, fresh meat. Tyler Morrison stood 6'2" in his Letterman jacket despite the heat. His blonde hair was perfectly styled. His blue eyes held the casual cruelty of someone who'd never been told no. Behind him, 2 other boys smirked like hyenas waiting for the kill. Harper didn't look up. "Excuse me, I need to go." "Did I say you could leave?" Tyler's hand slammed down on her tray. Apple juice splattered across her jeans. "When I'm talking, you listen." The cafeteria noise dimmed. Harper felt the weight of eyes turning their way. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. "Violence is the last answer, baby girl. The very last." "I'm sorry," Harper whispered. "I'll clean it up." Tyler laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. "Yeah, you will, Connor. Check this out. She's already shaking." The boy to Tyler's left, Connor Williams, leaned closer. His breath smelled like energy drinks and cruelty. "She shakes like my mom's chihuahua. Look at her hands." Harper tucked her trembling hands under the table. It wasn't fear making them shake. It was something else, something she'd spent 11 years trying to forget. "What's your name?" "Shaky," Tyler asked. "Harper." "Harper what?" "Harper Mitchell." Tyler pulled out his phone and typed something. "Harper Mitchell. New girl. No friends, no protection." He showed the screen to his friends. At the top, it read, "The Hunt List," in bold letters. Perfect. That night, Harper sat on her bed in their small apartment, staring at a photo. Her father smiled back at her in his marine dress blues. She traced his face with one finger. He'd been gone 3 years now. The cancer took him faster than any enemy could have. "I miss you, Daddy," she whispered. Her mother's voice drifted from the kitchen. "Harper, dinner." Ellen Mitchell worked 12-hour shifts at Austin General. The bags under her eyes had bags of their own. She'd aged 10 years in the last 3. Harper tucked the photo under her pillow and went to help set the table. "How was school?" her mother asked, spooning mac and cheese onto plates. "Fine. Make any friends?" "Not yet." Ellen's smile was tired but warm. "You will. You always do." Harper nodded and didn't mention that she'd never actually made friends. Just learned to be alone more efficiently. The next morning came too fast. Harper chose her clothes carefully. Nothing that stood out. Gray hoodie, dark jeans, old sneakers, invisible armor. She made it to first period without incident. Math with Mrs. Rodriguez. Harper liked math. Numbers didn't judge. They didn't whisper. They just were. Second period brought the first attack. Harper opened her locker to find it filled with dog food. Cheap. Grocery store brand. The smell hit her like a slap. Students passing by laughed and pointed. Someone had filmed her reaction. "Hungry? Puppy?" Tyler's voice came from behind her. Harper turned slowly. He stood there with Connor and another boy she didn't recognize. This one was bigger, meaner looking. Derek Johnson had the kind of dead eyes that promised violence for fun. "Clean it out," Tyler ordered. "With your hands." Harper looked around for a teacher. The hallway was conveniently empty of adults. "I said clean it." She reached into the locker and began scooping dog food into the trash can. Each handful felt like surrendering a piece of her soul. The crowd grew. Phones came out. Someone started a TikTok live. "Good puppy," Tyler cooed. "From now on, that's your name, Puppy. You respond when I call. You come when I whistle. And you do what I say. Understand?" Harper's hands stopped shaking for just a moment. Muscle memory tried to surface. Her body remembered things her mind had buried. The stance, the breathing, the way to turn someone's aggression against them. No, violence is the last answer. "I understand," she whispered. That night, the video had 50,000 views. Harper watched it spread across social media like a virus. The comments were worse than the video itself. She turned off her phone and went to the garage. In the corner, covered by a tarp, sat her father's heavy bag. She hadn't touched it since they moved, didn't want to, but her hands moved on their own, pulling off the cover. The bag was worn leather, patched in places. Her father's handwriting on the side, "Mitchell's Gym, where warriors are made." Harper touched the leather. Memories flooded back. 5 years old. Tiny gloves on tiny hands. Her father's patient voice, "Jab, cross, hook, good, again." She turned away. That part of her life was dead. It died with him. School became a daily torture. Tyler and his crew had perfected the art of humiliation. They'd corner her between classes, force her to do tricks, speak, sit, beg, always with cameras rolling, always with crowds watching. The teachers saw nothing, or chose to see nothing. Tyler Morrison's father owned 3 car dealerships and donated heavily to the school. His son's behavior was written off as boys being boys. Harper tried reporting it once. She sat in Mrs. Martinez's counseling office, words tumbling out between tears. He makes me act like a dog, in front of everyone. They film it, and I know about the hunt list?" Mrs. Martinez interrupted. Harper's head snapped up. "You know." The counselor pulled out a printed screenshot. 23 names, Harper's at the top, highlighted in yellow. "We've known for 2 years. But without concrete proof of physical harm, this isn't harm." Harper pointed at the list. "I'm sorry. My hands are tied. Tyler's family has lawyers. The school board won't act unless—" She trailed off. "Unless what? Unless he actually hurt someone." Mrs. Martinez's silence was answer enough. That afternoon, Harper found herself cornered in the girls' bathroom. Tyler had sent Madison and Skylar, 2 girls who orbited him like satellites. They blocked the exit while Connor filmed from the doorway. "Tyler says you need to learn to drink like a proper puppy," Madison said. Her voice was sweet poison. They pointed at the toilet. "No," Harper backed against the wall. "I won't." "Then we'll help you." Skylar grabbed Harper's hair. Madison pushed her toward the stall. Harper's body moved before her mind could stop it. A simple wrist lock, just like her father taught her. Skylar yelped and let go. The bathroom went silent. "Did you just—" Madison started. The door burst open. Tyler stormed in, face red. "What's taking so long?" He saw Harper standing, not kneeling. Saw Skylar rubbing her wrist. His eyes narrowed. The slap came fast and hard. Harper's head snapped to the side. The taste of copper filled her mouth. "You don't fight back," Tyler said quietly. "Ever. You're not a person. You're a puppy. My puppy. And puppies that bite get put down." Connor caught it all on camera. The threat, the fear in Harper's eyes, the small trickle of blood from her split lip. "Post that, and I'll end you," Tyler told Connor. "This one stays private. For now." They left Harper on the bathroom floor. She stayed there for 20 minutes, waiting for the shaking to stop. But it wasn't fear making her tremble. It was rage. Pure, clean rage trying to claw its way out. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Fight back and the video goes viral. Your mom will see. Everyone will see." Harper went home and stood in front of the heavy bag again. This time, she didn't turn away. She pulled on her father's old gloves. They still smelled like him. Leather and sweat and safety. The first punch was weak, rusty, but her body remembered. 11 years of training doesn't just disappear. It waits. It hides. But it remembers. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut. Each punch brought back a memory. Her father's hands guiding her stance, his voice counting reps, his proud smile when she landed her first perfect combination. "Fighting is easy, Harper," he'd said. "Knowing when to fight is hard." She hit the bag until her arms burned, until sweat soaked through her clothes, until the rage settled into something colder, more patient. The next 2 weeks were hell dressed up as high school. Tyler's creativity and humiliation seemed endless. He made her carry his books on all fours, forced her to eat lunch under the table, had her perform in the hallways for laughing crowds. But something was changing in Harper. Each humiliation added fuel to a fire she kept carefully banked. Each night, with the heavy bag, made her muscles remember their purpose. She wasn't learning to fight. She was remembering how. Tyler noticed the change. Harper had stopped crying, stopped begging. She did what he demanded. But her eyes held something new, something dangerous. "I think our puppy needs stronger training," he told Connor and Derek one afternoon. "She's getting rebellious." Derek cracked his knuckles. He'd been expelled from 2 schools for violence. Jefferson High was his last chance, and he didn't care. "I can fix that." "Not yet," Tyler said. "I have something better planned. Something special." He pulled out his phone and opened a group chat. "Tomorrow, main hallway, lunchtime, maximum audience." "What are you thinking?" Connor asked. Tyler's smile was pure malice. "Complete destruction. We're going to break her so badly she'll never stand up straight again. And everyone's going to watch." That night, Harper couldn't sleep. Her body knew something was coming. Some instinct, honed by weeks of torment, screamed danger. She gave up at 3 a.m. and went to the garage. The heavy bag waited like an old friend. She didn't put on gloves this time. Bare knuckles against leather. The pain felt clean, real. Her father had taught her more than just technique. He'd taught her philosophy, control, discipline, the warrior's code. But he'd also taught her something else. Sometimes, baby girl, the world pushes too hard. Sometimes, people mistake kindness for weakness. And sometimes, he'd paused, his eyes distant with memory. Sometimes, you have to remind them that kindness is a choice, and you can choose differently. Harper's fist connected with the bag. Perfect form, perfect power. The chain holding it creaked. Her mother found her there at 5 a.m, passed out on the garage floor. "Harper, oh my God, your hands." Harper looked down. Her knuckles were raw and bleeding. She hadn't noticed. "What's happening to you?" Ellen's voice broke. "Please, talk to me." For a moment, Harper almost told her everything, almost showed her the videos, the bruises hidden under long sleeves, the weight of daily humiliation. Instead, she said, "I'm fine. Mom, just stressed about a test." Ellen wasn't buying it. "Harper Michelle Mitchell, I know when you're lying. I'm your mother." "Then you should know when to leave it alone." The words came out harsher than intended. Ellen stepped back, hurt flashing across her face. "I'm sorry," Harper said quickly. "I'm just tired. I'll be okay." Ellen bandaged her daughter's hands in silence. Neither mentioned the expert way Harper had wrapped them herself first. Some knowledge runs deeper than memory. Harper got dressed with shaking hands. Not from fear, from anticipation. Her body knew what her mind was still denying. Today was the day. The last day. She picked out her clothes with care. Dark jeans that allowed movement, sneakers with good grip, hair in a tight ponytail that couldn't be grabbed easily. She moved like someone preparing for war without admitting it. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Today you become a real dog. Noon, main hallway. Don't be late." Harper stared at the message, then at her bandaged hands, then at her father's picture on her dresser. "Violence is the last answer," she whispered. "But sometimes it's the only answer left." She grabbed her backpack and headed for the door. Her mother had already left for an early shift. The apartment felt empty. Waiting. Harper paused at the door. Something made her go back to her room. She took her father's photo from the dresser and tucked it into her backpack. "Give me strength," she whispered. "Or forgiveness. Maybe both." The walk to school felt longer than usual. Each step was measured, deliberate. Harper's mind catalogued details she usually ignored. Exit routes, blind spots, camera angles. Jefferson High loomed before her like a gladiator arena. She could already see the unusual crowd gathered near the main entrance. Word had spread. Tyler's grand finale was today. Harper took a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. just like her father taught her. Center yourself. Find your balance. The storm comes from stillness. She walked through the front doors. The hallway was packed. More students than usual lingered between classes. Their eyes tracked Harper as she moved. Whispers followed in her wake. Phones appeared in hands, ready to capture whatever came next. Harper made it to her locker. Her hands didn't shake as she worked the combination. Inside, taped to the door, was a new message: "Good puppies come when called." The morning crawled by. Each class felt like a countdown. Teachers droned on about subjects that seemed meaningless compared to what waited at noon. Harper sat in the back, watching the clock. 11:55. The lunch bell would ring in 5 minutes. Harper gathered her things slowly. Around her, students packed up with unusual energy. Everyone knew. Everyone was ready to watch. Her phone buzzed. "Mom, forgot to say I love you this morning. Have a good day, sweetie." Harper stared at the message. Her thumbs hovered over the keyboard. So many things she wanted to say, needed to say. Instead, she typed, "Love you too." The bell rang. The hallway filled instantly. But instead of the usual chaos of students heading to lunch, they formed a corridor, a path, all leading to the main hallway where 3 figures waited. Tyler Morrison stood in the center, arms crossed. Connor Williams bounced on his heels to the left, phone already recording. Derek Johnson cracked his knuckles on the right, brass knuckles glinting on his right hand. Harper walked toward them. The crowd parted like water. 200 phones rose in unison. Someone had set up a speaker. "Who Let the Dogs Out" played on repeat. She stopped 10 feet from Tyler, close enough to see the excitement in his eyes, far enough to have room. "There's our puppy," Tyler announced to the crowd. "Ready for your final lesson." Harper said nothing. Her breathing was steady. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Her bandaged hands hung loose at her sides. "I asked you a question." Tyler stepped closer. "When I speak, you answer. When I command, you obey. That's how this works." Still, Harper said nothing. Her eyes found Derek's brass knuckles, calculated distance, noted Connor's position, marked the nearest exits. Tyler's face reddened. "On your knees. Now." The crowd held its breath. This was the moment, the breaking point, the grand finale. Harper Mitchell looked Tyler Morrison in the eye and spoke one word. "No." The word hung in the air like a challenge. 200 phones zoomed in. Capturing the moment, Harper Mitchell finally stood her ground. Tyler's face twisted from red to purple. "What did you just say?" "I said no." Harper's voice carried across the silent hallway. Clear, steady, final. Connor laughed nervously. "Dude, she's lost it." "Shut up!" Tyler snapped. He stepped closer to Harper, using his height advantage to loom over her. "You don't get to say no. You're nothing. You're less than nothing. You're a dog. And dogs obey." Harper's breathing remained steady. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. "When violence becomes inevitable, strike first, strike hard, and strike with purpose." "Last chance," Tyler said. "Knees, now. Make me." The words were barely out before Tyler lunged. His hand shot toward Harper's hair. The same grip he'd used a dozen times before. But Harper wasn't the same girl anymore. She stepped inside his reach, her body moving with 11 years of muscle memory. Her left hand deflected his grab, while her hip bumped into his center of gravity. Tyler's eyes widened as he realized his mistake. But it was too late. Harper's right hand was already moving. The spinning back fist came from perfect form. hours on the heavy bag had awakened what grief had buried. Her knuckles, still bandaged from the night before, connected with Tyler's temple with a sound like a baseball bat hitting leather. Time slowed. Tyler's eyes rolled back, showing only white. His knees buckled. 6'2" of quarterback arrogance crumpled to the linoleum like a marionette with cut strings. The hallway exploded. Screams, gasps, the clatter of dropped phones. Someone yelled, "World Star!" Others just stared, unable to process what they'd witnessed. The untouchable Tyler Morrison laid out cold by the girl he'd tormented for weeks. "Tyler!" Connor dropped his phone and charged, rage replacing his usual calculated cruelty. "You little—" Harper's body was already moving as Connor reached her. She grabbed his extended arm, pivoted, and used his momentum against him. The hip throw was textbook. Her father would have been proud. Connor hit the floor hard. His head bounced once against the linoleum, and he joined Tyler in unconsciousness. 2 down in less than 5 seconds. Derek was different, smarter, more dangerous. He circled Harper slowly, brass knuckles gleaming. The crowd backed away, giving them space. This wasn't a schoolyard scuffle anymore. This was real violence. "Nice moves," Derek said. His voice was calm, almost appreciative. "But I'm not these idiots. I've been in real fights." Harper shifted her stance, keeping him in sight. Her breathing stayed controlled despite the adrenaline flooding her system. She could hear her father, "Never let them see you're tired. Never let them see you're scared." Derek feinted left, then came in hard from the right. The brass knuckles whistled through the air where Harper's head had been a split second before. She'd read the feint in his shoulders, dodged by millimeters. He swung again, wild and angry. Harper ducked under it and drove her knee up into his solar plexus. The air whooshed out of Derek's lungs. The brass knuckles clattered across the floor as he doubled over. Harper could have stopped there. Should have stopped there. But 3 weeks of humiliation, of forced degradation, of swallowed rage demanded payment. She grabbed Derek's head and brought her knee up again, this time to his face. He dropped like a stone, blood streaming from his nose. Silence. 200 students stood frozen, phones still recording. 3 bodies lay on the floor around Harper Mitchell. The shy new girl who ate lunch alone. The victim who'd been forced to bark like a dog. The teenager who'd just demolished 3 of the school's most feared bullies in under 30 seconds. Harper stood in the center of the carnage, chest heaving. Her ponytail had come loose. Blood spotted her gray hoodie, not hers. Her bandaged hands hung at her sides, knuckles already swelling beneath the wrappings. She looked around at the staring faces, at the phones capturing every angle, at the 3 boys who'd made her life hell groaning on the floor. Then Harper Mitchell did something no one expected. She walked to her backpack, picked it up, and headed for her next class like nothing had happened. The videos hit social media before she made it to the classroom. Tiny girl destroys 3 bullies in epic hallway fight. Justice served bully gets beats knocked out cold. You won't believe what this shy student did. By the time security arrived, Harper was sitting in AP History, taking notes on the Civil War. They found her there, calm as could be, and escorted her to the principal's office. Principal Thompson was a thin man who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. He gestured for Harper to sit while pulling up multiple angles of the fight on his computer. "Miss Mitchell," he began, then stopped, started again. "I've been principal here for 15 years. I've never seen anything like this." Harper said nothing. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" My father taught me. Her voice was quiet. He was a Marine. Principal Thompson rubbed his face. The videos are already everywhere. Over 1 million views and climbing. The news stations are calling. Parents are furious. The school board is in emergency session. Am I expelled? Harper asked. He looked at her for a long moment. That depends. Tell me everything, from the beginning. So Harper did. Every humiliation, every forced degradation, every video they'd made of her. She showed him the texts, the threats, the bruises hidden under long sleeves. She told him about reporting it to Mrs. Martinez and being told nothing could be done. When she finished, Principal Thompson looked older, tired, defeated. We failed you, he said simply. The system failed you. The system protected them, Harper corrected, because their families have money and mine doesn't. Before he could respond, the door burst open. A man in an expensive suit stormed in. Tyler's father. Harper recognized him from the car dealership commercials. This little psychopath attacked my son. Mr. Morrison's face was red as his son's had been. I want her arrested, expelled. I'll sue this school into the ground. Mr. Morrison. Principal Thompson started. Don't you dare defend her. I've seen the videos. She's a trained fighter who assaulted 3 innocent boys. Innocent. Harper stood up. Your son made me bark like a dog. Made me eat on the floor. Made me crawl on my hands and knees while people filmed it. That's innocent. You're lying. Harper pulled out her phone. She'd saved everything. Every video, every message, every moment of humiliation. She hit play on the worst one. Tyler forcing her to drink from a toilet while Connor filmed. The room went quiet, except for Tyler's voice from the phone. Drink it! Puppy, dogs drink from toilets. Mr. Morrison's face went from red to white. That's edited, fake. Your son posted it himself, Principal Thompson said quietly, along with dozens of others. We have them all. The door opened again. This time it was Ellen Mitchell, still in her scrubs from the hospital. She looked at Harper, at the principal, at the furious man in the suit. What happened? She asked. Harper met her mother's eyes. I fought back. The next hour was chaos. Parents arrived, lawyers were called, the school board convened. Through it all, Harper sat quietly, her father's photo in her lap. Then something unexpected happened. A girl Harper had never spoken to before entered the office. Then another, then more. Soon, 23 students crowded into the small space. What is this? Principal Thompson asked. The first girl, Madison Chen, stepped forward. We're here to report Tyler Morrison, Connor Williams, and Derek Johnson for bullying. I was on the hunt list 2 years ago, said another student. Tyler made my life hell until I tried to kill myself. He broke my arm, said a boy in the back. Said it was an accident during practice. It wasn't. One by one, they told their stories. Years of systematic abuse. The hunt list, the videos, the threats, the fear that kept them silent. Mr. Morrison tried to leave. Security stopped him. 23 victims, Principal Thompson said quietly. 23 children we failed to protect. Mrs. Martinez appeared in the doorway. Her face was stone. Make that 24. I'm done being silent. I have documentation going back 3 years. Every report that was buried, every complaint that was ignored, every time I was told to let it go. She placed a thick folder on the desk. This ends today, and the story exploded beyond social media. Local news picked it up. Then national. Marine's daughter stands up to bullies became the feel-good story of the week. But Harper didn't feel good. She felt empty. She sat in her room that night, watching the numbers climb on the videos. 5 million, 10 million, 20 million views. Her phone rang constantly. Reporters, talk shows, movie producers. She turned it off. Her mother knocked softly. "Can I come in?" Harper nodded. Ellen sat on the bed, pulling her daughter into a hug. "Why didn't you tell me you had enough to worry about?" Harper whispered. "With work and bills and everything, I thought I could handle it." "Oh, baby." Ellen's voice broke. "I'm so sorry. I should have seen, should have known. I got really good at hiding it." They sat in silence for a while. Then Ellen asked, "How long have you been training again?" Harper looked up, surprised. "I'm not blind," Ellen said softly. "The wrapped hands, the late nights in the garage. You move like your father again." "I tried to stop," Harper admitted. "Tried to forget everything he taught me. But when it got bad, my body remembered." "He'd be proud of you." "Would he?" Harper's voice was small. "He always said violence was the last answer. I could have walked away, could have switched schools. Instead, I put 3 kids in the hospital." Ellen cupped her daughter's face. "You defended yourself after weeks of torture, after the system meant to protect you failed. Your father would understand. I understand." Harper cried then. Really cried. 3 weeks of fear and rage and humiliation poured out in her mother's arms. The next weeks were a whirlwind. Tyler Morrison was expelled and charged with assault. His father's threats of lawsuits evaporated when the full scope of his son's crimes came to light. Connor Williams transferred schools after his parents saw the videos. Derek Johnson, already on probation, was arrested for bringing weapons to school. Mrs. Martinez was promoted to vice principal with a mandate to overhaul the school's anti-bullying policies. Principal Thompson took early retirement, but the biggest change was in Harper herself. She walked differently now, head up, shoulders back. The hallways that had been her torment became just hallways. Students nodded respectfully when she passed. Some tried to befriend her, drawn to her newfound fame. Harper stayed polite but distant. Then came the request that changed everything. Miss Mitchell, Mrs. Martinez, caught her after school. "I have a proposal." Harper waited. "We've had over 100 students ask about self-defense classes. They saw what you did, how you protected yourself. They want to learn." "I'm not a teacher," Harper said quickly. "I'm just a trained martial artist who stood up when no one else would." Mrs. Martinez interrupted. "These kids look up to you. They need what you have." Harper thought about all the names on the hunt list, all the victims who suffered in silence, all the kids who felt as helpless as she had. "Okay," she said finally, "but we do it right. Not just physical training, mental too, emotional, the whole warrior package." Mrs. Martinez smiled. "Whatever you need." The first class had 30 students. By the 3rd week, they had to move to the gym to accommodate over 100. Harper taught them what her father had taught her. Not just how to throw a punch, but when. Not just how to fight, but how to avoid fighting. "Strength isn't about hurting others," she told them, echoing her father's words. "It's about protecting yourself and those who can't protect themselves. It's about standing up when standing up is hard." Tyler Morrison returned to school after his suspension. Not to Jefferson High. No school in the district would take him. His family moved to Dallas. The last anyone heard, he was in therapy, trying to understand why he'd become a monster. Connor Williams sent Harper a letter. A real letter. Handwritten. An apology that seemed genuine. She read it once and threw it away. Some bridges weren't meant to be rebuilt. Derek Johnson went to juvenile detention. Without his friends. Without his power. He was just another angry kid with brass knuckles and bad choices. 6 months after the fight. Harper stood in Riverside Cemetery. The headstone read, Staff Sergeant Marcus Mitchell, beloved husband and father, warrior, teacher, hero. She placed fresh flowers by the stone and sat in the grass. "Hey, Daddy," she said softly. "I know it's been a while. I was angry at you for leaving, angry at the world. Tried to bury everything you taught me because it hurt too much to remember." The wind rustled through the trees. Somewhere, a bird sang. "But you were right. Violence is the last answer. I tried everything else first. I really did. I took it and took it until I couldn't anymore. And when the moment came, I remembered. Every lesson, every technique, every word you said." She touched the headstone gently. "I teach now. Can you believe that me, teaching kids to defend themselves, to be strong, to know when to fight and when to walk away? I tell them about you, about the Marine who believed in honor and justice and protecting those who can't protect themselves." Harper stood, brushing grass from her jeans. "I'm not angry anymore, Daddy. Not at you, not at the world, not even at Tyler. Really, I'm just grateful. Grateful you gave me the tools to survive, to stand up, to help others stand up too." She kissed her fingertips and pressed them to the stone. "Violence was the last answer," she whispered, "but sometimes it's the only answer that saves you." As she walked away, Harper's phone buzzed. A text from one of her students. "Miss M, my little brother is being bullied. Can you help?" Harper smiled and typed back, "Bring him to class tomorrow. We'll teach him to stand tall." Because that's what warriors do. They stand up. They protect. They pass on their strength to those who need it most. And somewhere, Harper knew, her father was smiling too. The news segment that aired that night called it the viral video that changed a school. They interviewed students, parents, teachers. They showed clips of Harper's self-defense classes. They talked about the anti-bullying policies now being adopted district-wide. But they missed the real story. The real story was a 16-year-old girl who remembered who she was just in time, who chose strength over surrender, who proved that sometimes, just sometimes, the underdog has teeth and isn't afraid to use them. 3 years later, Harper Mitchell stood before a packed auditorium. The banner behind her read, "National Anti-Bullying Summit, Courage Through Strength." "Violence saved my life," she began, and the audience of educators, parents, and students leaned forward. "But let me be clear, it was the very last option. The nuclear button I pushed only when every other door was locked, barred, and welded shut." She clicked to a slide showing statistics. 1 in 5 students experience bullying. 1 in 5. Look around this room. That's hundreds of silent sufferers among us right now. A hand raised in the back. A young boy, maybe 14, stood nervously. What if you're not strong like you? What if you can't fight?" Harper smiled. "What's your name?" "Joshua." "Joshua, I wasn't strong. I was terrified. I shook so bad they called me puppet. I cried myself to sleep. I ate lunch in bathroom stalls. Strength isn't the absence of fear, it's acting despite it." She pulled up another slide. photos from her teaching program, now in schools across Texas. Kids of all sizes, backgrounds, abilities, learning together. Physical defense is just one tool. We teach confidence, awareness, de-escalation, how to document abuse, how to report effectively, how to build support networks. Fighting is maybe 5% of what we do. But that 5%, another voice called out. It went viral. It changed everything. Harper nodded. Because sometimes the world needs to see the consequences of unchecked cruelty. Sometimes victims need to see that fighting back is possible. That video wasn't about violence. It was about the moment someone said, "Enough." She looked across the sea of faces, some nodding, some crying, some still carrying their own hidden bruises. "Tyler Morrison is here tonight," Harper announced. Gasps rippled through the audience. In the third row, a young man stood slowly, thinner now, humbler, the arrogance beaten out of him by therapy, not fists. "Tell them," Harper said simply. Tyler's voice shook. "I was a monster. I hurt people because I was hurting. Because my dad—" He stopped. Started again. "Harper Mitchell saved my life by stopping me, by forcing me to face what I'd become. I'm sorry. To her, to everyone I hurt. I'm in therapy. I volunteer with at-risk youth now. I tell them my story, from the bullies' side, so they won't become me." He sat down. The auditorium was silent. Harper looked directly at the camera broadcasting the summit nationally. Bullies aren't born. They're made. By pain, by systems that enable them. By silence that protects them. Break the silence. Stand up. Stand together. And remember, you're stronger than you know. As she left the stage to thunderous applause, Harper touched the small tattoo on her wrist, her father's words in his handwriting, "Last answer," because sometimes the last answer is the only one that saves lives, even the bullies.